Hello, welcome to RIP News. Today, May 31st, 2025, we bring you heartbreaking news as we mourn the loss of 7 American legends who passed away in the last 24 hours. In this episode, we pay tribute to their incredible legacies and contributions. Please join us in honoring their memory. Kindly like, support, and subscribe to RIP News for more heartfelt tributes. Thank you for being here. Loretta Swit. What does it take to become a TV legend? Loretta Swit, who passed away at 87 in 2025, answered that question with her unforgettable role as Major Margaret, Hot Lips Houlihan on MASH star. But there's so much more to her story that fans are still buzzing about. Let's dive into the life of a woman who redefined strength on screen. Swit started in theater, captivating audiences with her stage presence before landing the role of a lifetime in 1972. As Hot Lips on MASH asterisk, she brought fire to a military comedy, earning 2 Emmys for her work. Her performance wasn't just acting, it was a cultural moment. But what made her stand out? Her character wasn't always the bold figure we remember. Early on, Hot Lips was a punchline, but Swit pushed for depth, turning Margaret into a feminist icon. By the show's end, she was a symbol of resilience, navigating love, war, and everything in between. And that transformation, it kept viewers glued to their screens. But what was happening behind the scenes? Swit's personal life had its own drama. She was linked to musician Bill Hudson in the 70s, sparking whispers of a whirlwind romance. Then came her marriage to actor Dennis Houlihan, who even shared the MASH asterisk set with her in one episode. They split in 1995, and Swit kept her private life under wraps, leaving fans curious. What drove her to stay so guarded? Beyond acting, Swit poured her heart into animal rights. She went vegan in 1981, long before it was trendy, and championed causes to protect animals. Her passion wasn't just talk, she lived it, inspiring others to follow. But there was another creative side to her not everyone knows about. Ever heard of a needlepoint scrapbook? Swit wrote it, sharing her love for needlepoint with the world. It was a quirky, personal project that showed her creativity didn't stop at acting. From Broadway to books, she never stopped exploring. But not everything about her was so clear-cut. Online, fans have been digging into rumors about MASH asterisk set tensions. Some say Swit clashed with co-stars over her character's direction, though nothing's confirmed. There's also talk about why she never had kids, with speculation swirling about her private choices. Reports claim she valued independence, but the full story, it's still a mystery. And that's not where her story ends. In May 2025, Swit passed away at her New York City home from natural causes. At 87, she left behind a legacy that still sparks conversation. Her work on MASH asterisk broke barriers for women on TV, blending strength with vulnerability. So, what's the real takeaway? Loretta Swit wasn't just an actress, she was a trailblazer who lived life on her terms. What do you think her legacy means for today's stars? Let that question linger as you reflect on her incredible journey. John E. Thrasher. Was John Thrasher a political titan who reshaped Florida, or a polarizing figure whose influence stirred endless debate? This is the story of a man whose career sparked admiration and outrage in equal measure. Let's dive in. Thrasher burst onto Florida's political scene in the 1990s, climbing from the House of Representatives to the Senate with a reputation for getting things done. A lawyer and lobbyist, he built tight connections with Florida's elite, earning respect as a conservative powerhouse. But his ambition didn't stop at politics, and what came next would surprise everyone. In 2014, Thrasher was named Florida State University's president, a move that raised eyebrows across the state. Critics argued he was a politician, not an academic, and whispers of backroom deals fueled the fire. The board's 11-2 vote to appoint him only deepened the skepticism. Was this a power grab disguised as leadership? The controversy was just beginning. During his tenure, critics claimed Thrasher leaned on his political ties to steer FSU, with some calling his leadership a clash of politics and education. Reports surfaced of faculty unrest, and students questioned whether his focus was on prestige or power. Yet, Thrasher's defenders pointed to real wins under his watch, and there's more to that story. Despite the backlash, Thrasher pushed FSU forward, boosting its national rankings and securing major funding. His business savvy helped grow the university's profile, but not without cost. Some argued his political baggage overshadowed these gains, leaving a divided campus. And then, his sudden exit raised new questions. In 2021, Thrasher announced his retirement, and rumors swirled about what was really behind it. Some online buzz suggested health issues or political pressures, though nothing was confirmed. Fans and critics alike speculated, was he stepping back to avoid scrutiny, or was something else at play? The truth remained elusive, but the whispers kept growing. On May 30, 2025, Thrasher passed away, at 81, after a battle with cancer, leaving Florida in mourning and reflection. Tributes poured in, praising his decades of service, but others revisited the controversies that defined him. His death sparked a wave of debate about his true impact, and it wasn't all glowing. Alf Clausen. Ever wonder why a musical genius who defined The Simpsons for nearly 3 decades was suddenly let go? Alf Clausen's story is one of talent, triumphs, and a shocking exit that left fans reeling. Let's dive into the life of this legendary composer and uncover what really happened. Clausen was the heart of The Simpsons sound for 27 years, from 1990 to 2017. His scores brought Springfield to life, earning him 2 Emmys in 1997 and 1998. Every iconic moment, from Bart's pranks to Homer's antics, was elevated by his music. But his genius didn't stop there. Beyond The Simpsons, Clausen's work touched classics like ALF, Moonlighting, and The Naked Gun. He even scored Ferris Bueller's Day Off, giving that iconic film its vibrant energy. His versatility earned him an honorary doctorate from Berkeley in 1996 and a Golden Note Award in 2011. But something unexpected was brewing. In 2017, Clausen was abruptly dismissed from The Simpsons. After nearly 600 episodes, the man who shaped the show's sound was out. Reports suggested it was about cutting costs, but whispers of creative differences surfaced. And what happened next would shock everyone. In 2019, Clausen sued Fox, claiming ageism and disability discrimination. At 78, he argued his firing was unfair, especially as he faced health challenges. The lawsuit dragged on until he dropped it in 2022, leaving fans with more questions than answers. But there was more to his story. By 2020, Clausen revealed he was battling progressive supranuclear palsy, a rare condition initially mistaken for Parkinson's. It took a toll, but he faced it with resilience until his passing in 2025 at 84. Yet, even in his final years, his passion for music never faded. Did you know Clausen self-funded a jazz album in 2003, showcasing his Simpsons arrangements? Or that he scored the cult classic Half-Baked? These hidden gems remind us of his creative range. But the mystery of his Simpsons exit still lingers. Charles Wadsworth, who took chamber music from dusty recital halls and made it a global sensation. That was Charles Wadsworth, a pianist whose southern charm and bold vision reshaped classical music. Born in 1929 in Newnan, Georgia, Wadsworth was no ordinary talent. By age 12, he was studying under Hugh Hodgson, a legend at the University of Georgia's music school. His fingers danced across the keys, hinting at a future that would captivate audiences worldwide. But what set him apart wasn't just skill. It was his knack for making music feel alive and welcoming. In 1960, a young Wadsworth got a call from composer John Carlo Menotti. The result? The midday concerts at Spoleto's Festival dei Mondi in Italy. These weren't stuffy performances. Wadsworth's relaxed style and sharp programming turned chamber music into something anyone could love. He brought in stars like Sviatoslav Richter, showing the world that classical could be cool. And that was just the start. By 1969, Wadsworth was shaking things up in New York. At Lincoln Center's Alice Tully Hall, he founded the Chamber Music Society, leading it for 20 years. He didn't just play, he commissioned bold new works from composers like Pierre Boulez and Samuel Barber. He also gave young talents like Yo-Yo Ma, Jesse Norman, and Kathleen Battle their big breaks. His stage was a launchpad for legends, and his programming kept audiences hooked with its daring variety. Across the Atlantic, Wadsworth brought his magic to Spoleto Festival USA in Charleston, starting in 1977. For 32 years, he hosted, performed, and charmed crowds with his wit. Nothing particularly interesting is happening, he'd quip about a Beethoven trio, winking to the crowd. His humor broke down barriers, making chamber music feel like a conversation with a friend. He stepped away in 2009, citing the grind of travel, but his influence lingered. In 1996, Wadsworth pulled off a musical coup. For the Summer Olympics in Atlanta, he organized a concert with heavyweights like Itzhak Perlman, Pinchas Zukerman, and Frederica von Stade. It was a dazzling display of his ability to unite the best in the business, cementing his reputation as a master collaborator. Behind the scenes, Wadsworth's life was just as rich. Married to Susan Wadsworth, who founded Young Concert Artists, he was a family man with 3 kids from 2 marriages. His southern roots shone through in his warm, fuzzy style, as pianist Wuhan once said, recalling their joyful performances together. He played with a fluid grace, especially on French pieces by Poulenc and Ravel, that felt like a warm embrace. Wadsworth's legacy is everywhere. France and Italy honored him with prestigious awards, and New York gave him the Handel Medallion. His hometown renamed its auditorium after him, where he performed yearly since 1990. When he passed in 2025 at 96, posts on X and tributes from Spoleto mourned a giant who made chamber music accessible to all. Liz Tomkins. Who was Liz Tomkins, and why did her sudden death send shockwaves through Australia's film industry? At just 42, this trailblazing producer and advocate was taken too soon in a tragic traffic collision. Her story is one of passion, grit, and a legacy that won't fade. Let's dive into her incredible journey. Liz Tomkins kicked off her career with a fire for storytelling. After graduating from Queensland College of Art in 2005, she jumped into community television, producing cinema at Bris 31. It was clear early on she had a knack for bringing stories to life. But her ambitions were bigger, and soon she was working on sets across Canada and Queensland. And what came next would put her on the map. Her talent caught the eye of heavyweights like HBO and Fox. Liz worked on high-profile films and series, from tropical far north Queensland to bustling studios in Canada. She wasn't just behind the scenes, she was making things happen, earning respect for her sharp skills and dedication. But something else was brewing in her career that would define her path. By 2009, Liz craved creative control. She took a bold leap into independent producing, starting with Sleeper, a gritty thriller that hit screens in North America. Then came Tender, a short film backed by Screen Development Australia, where she flexed her ability to nurture raw talent. Her work wasn't just about making films, it was about building futures. But there was one project that really turned heads. In 2012, Liz teamed up with Judd Tilliard for Frame 137, a short film based on a comic by The Crow creator James O'Barr. With a soundtrack featuring punk legends like Dave Grohl and Iggy Pop, it was a bold, edgy hit that showcased her ability to blend art and rebellion. This wasn't just a film, it was a statement. And Liz wasn't done making waves. As chair of Women in Film and Television Australia, Liz became a force for change. She pushed for gender equality, expanded mentorship programs, and built bridges with global WIFT chapters. Over 340 mentees found guidance under her watch, and her "let's get it done" attitude transformed the organization. Posts on X call her a shining light, whose energy was infectious. But then, tragedy struck. On May 26, 2025, Liz's life was cut short in a traffic collision. Details are scarce, but reports say it happened suddenly, leaving the industry reeling. Australia's roads have been under scrutiny, with 1,300 fatal crashes in 2024 alone, and Liz's death sparked fresh conversations about safety. What happened that day remains unclear, but the loss was devastating. And yet, her story doesn't end there. Étienne-Émile Baulieu. What if one pill could spark a global revolution, giving millions control over their bodies while igniting fierce debate? That's the story of Étienne-Émile Baulieu, a man whose life was as bold as his science. Born Émile Bloom in 1926, he was just a teenager when he joined the French resistance, risking everything to fight Nazi occupation. Fleeing to Grenoble, he shed his Jewish name to become Émile Baulieu, a move that saved his life and shaped his fearless spirit. But that was only the beginning. By the 1950s, Baulieu was diving into medicine, studying steroid hormones under a mentor in Paris. His curiosity led him to uncover how hormones like DHEA worked in the body, earning him a spot at Columbia University in 1961, where he met the father of the birth control pill, Gregory Pincus. That encounter lit a spark. Baulieu returned to France, determined to push science further. And what came next would change the world. In 1982, Baulieu unveiled RU486, a pill that could end early pregnancies without surgery. Known as mifepristone, it gave women a safer, private choice, transforming reproductive health. It wasn't just a medical breakthrough, it was a lifeline for millions, especially in places where surgical options were scarce. But the world wasn't ready for such a leap. Anti-abortion groups called it a death pill. Baulieu faced lawsuits, threats, and protests, especially in the US, where Wyoming's 2023 ban on RU486 echoed decades of backlash. Yet, he stood firm, driven by a belief in women's freedom. Posts on X from 2025 show French leaders like Emmanuel Macron praising his courage, calling him a beacon of progress. But there was more to his story. Baulieu's work didn't stop at reproduction. He pioneered the concept of neurosteroids, hormones made in the brain that could protect memory and mood. His research on DHEA, a hormone he studied since the 1960s, stirred buzz about slowing aging. Some claimed it boosted energy and libido, but others, like the National Institute on Aging, warned of side effects, leaving its true potential a mystery. And that wasn't all he explored. In 2010, Baulieu's team made waves again, targeting Alzheimer's disease. They found a protein, FKBP52, that could block toxic tau proteins in the brain, offering hope for early treatments. His institute, Baulieu, founded in 2008, poured energy into this fight, aiming to help people live longer, healthier lives. But time caught up with him. On May 30, 2025, Baulieu passed away, at 98 in his Paris home. Read Sternberg. What happened to Red Sternberg, the 90s heartthrob who vanished from the spotlight? Known as Kiko in TGIS, he captured hearts with his boyish charm, but his story took twists nobody saw coming. Let's dive in. Red Sternberg exploded onto the scene in 1995 as Kiko, the funny, lovable guy in TGIS, a show that defined Saturday afternoons for Filipino teens. His comedic timing and mestizo looks made him an instant fan favorite, starring alongside Angelou de Leon and Bobby Andrews. But just as his star was rising, something unexpected happened. At the peak of his fame in 1999, Red walked away from showbiz. Fans were stunned. Why would a heartthrob ditch the limelight? He later said he just felt it was time to move on. But that wasn't the only whisper circling the TGIS set. Rumors swirled about a heated moment between Red and co-star One Mig Bondok during filming. Fans on social media still talk about this supposed clash, though details remain murky. Was it just set drama or something deeper? And there's more. Years later, Rika Perelejo dropped a bombshell. She and Red had a secret, mutual understanding during their TGIS days. Fans had no clue, and the revelation left them reeling. But Red's life took a quieter turn. He moved to the US, built a family with his wife Sandy, and worked his way up to hotel general manager. Life seemed perfect until May 27, 2025, when Red passed away suddenly at 50, just days before his birthday. No cause was shared, sparking online buzz about what happened.